Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is actually taken from a solo ranked game. I don't play a lot of ranked games, but had a little bit of time. I decided I would go ahead and try this. This is actually from an early placement match, so competition's not going to be particularly amazing in this game. But I'm going to use that as an opportunity to look at another one of these team competitions. This one featuring Black Rose, which has been a popular team composition pretty much throughout set 13 so far. And we're also going to look a little bit specifically at some of the endgame boards of the competitors in this game, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ways that you can work to cap out your boards in the late game, because I think I was able to do that reasonably effectively in this game, and some of the other players look like they struggled with it a little bit, probably because they just don't have as much practice at that. It's always like one of the things that's hardest to do is just get enough practice in like how you put a late game board together. Anyway, we have the Vi encounter for this game, which means we start with 2-component anvils. This one I'm pretty okay with. I think this is one of the less impactful portals that you can get, so I was reasonably okay with getting this one. And, when I got the Maddie plus the double Camille, I was thinking of going Enforcer for this game. That was my first thought. I was like, maybe I can play into Enforcers for this one, just because, like I said, I have two Enforcers already, and if I could get up to 4 Enforcers, that would be really good. But I end up not going in that direction, as it turns out, in this game, because I didn't have a lot of luck at finding other Enforcers. I am trying to do what you normally want to do at the start of the game, which is try to grab pairs. 2-star units are so much stronger than 1-star units at the start of the game. You really want to try to grab any pairs that you can in the shop. Now, some units, you always have to pick and choose which units you want to buy. For example, I didn't pick up the Vexes because Vex and Visionaries are pretty weak in the current makeup of the game. Oh, and by the way, I also got this. I got a Tear and a Rod. These are really not especially good items if you're going to be playing an Enforcer start. Some interesting stuff here. The Conqueror Crest would be great if I had a Conqueror Opener, but I just don't have a Conqueror Opener, and because I don't have that, I don't really want to go in that direction. So I'm thinking between taking Scapegoat and taking Pilfer, which are both economic augments here. The problem was I wasn't confident that my board was going to be able to win streak here, and if you're not confident that you can do that, it's usually a good idea not to take the Pilfer, because if you don't kill any units, you don't get any value out of that. I go for the somewhat safer option, which is to go ahead and take the training dummy, because I do get 4 gold, and I should be able to get 1 gold from that every round. I get a very small amount of frontline from the targeting dummy, and if it's the first one to die every single round, I get an additional gold coin. Now I'm looking at what other people are playing, and I see that there's definitely at least one player who's going for Enforcers, and I think there's actually 2 players that are going down that line. So I was like, oh, okay, I don't know if that's the best idea to head in that direction. So I think I end up deciding at this point I need to play something else. Although in retrospect, I really should have grabbed the Vlad and the Ziggs. If I had known, I would have gone ahead and grabbed those units. But I end up not picking them up here because I could have had a pretty early Vlad 2-star, and that would have helped me out a lot. I should have realized I had the Morgana on my board and been like, oh yeah, I could play Black Rose with Dominators here. But I think it was one of these. I think it was this round here where I decided, oh, you know what? I just looked at everybody's board. No one's playing Black Rose Dominators, and like that's not as good of a comp as it used to be, but it's still pretty good. It's still a pretty solid comp. I think it's, like if you're ranking A tier, B tier, C tier, it's probably like a B tier comp overall. I've got the Cassiopeia, so I can look to play into that. Now I just need a Vladimir to put Black Rose trade in play, and of course I had a Vlad. I actually had 2 Vlads, but I went ahead and sold them. So I'm going to pull my component anvils now, because I know I'm going to be playing in this direction, so I can go ahead and make a Spear of Shojin, and then I can go ahead and make a Jeweled Gauntlet, and these are actually 2 of the 3 items that are considered to be best in slot on Silco. He's going to be the main carry in this team composition, so I'm quite pleased to get that. Now, these items are actually not that bad on Cassiopeia either. They're not great items, but they're not bad on her either. She tends to favor a little bit more in the way of attack speed, but these are not bad, and Cassiopeia can be my temporary item holder while I look for a potential, While I look for a potential Silco down the road. Can try to carry that damage. By the way, there's Vlad in the store, so I probably should grab the Vlad, yeah. I was hesitant to put in the Vlad on this round, though, because I did hit this 2-star Singed, and I want to play the 2-star Singed for frontline for the time being. That said, I will have to move out of that long term because Black Rose Dominators does not play a Sentinel front line. It's one of the ways that I tend to categorize the different front lines is when you're thinking about different team compositions, it's like which front line does this team play? And a Black Rose team composition will play into Dominators and Bruisers because that's what you get in terms of the units if you're playing them. You can also play, and you can also play Watcher as well. I guess you can kind of play every front line other than Sentinel. There's no Sentinel synergy. By the way, this fight's actually reasonably close. I actually came kind of close to winning this, but I do end up losing, and that is to one of those Enforcers players who has taken the augment that gives you a Bramble Vest at the start of the game, and they've hit a couple of early Enforcers, so they look like they're pretty strong here. It's a little unfortunate I hit them in the middle of stage 2, but yeah, I definitely didn't have enough to beat them. Now, if I had double leveled and put in the Vlad, and put Black Rose trade in, I might have been able to beat them, but that would just be a little bit silly. I am off to a good economic start here, and that Econ augment I took is part of the reason why I got 4 gold immediately from taking it. And as long as the training dummy is the first one to die each round, then I get another gold coin. So that actually does make a pretty big difference. And like I said, I'm up to 20 gold here for the stage 2 carousel, and then I'll look to go from there. I was still third pick on the carousel. There wasn't a ton that I wanted here, so I went ahead and took the Ziggs with the cloak. The cloak can build into a lot of different things. I'm going to swap the Leona out for the Rel because Rel will put Visionary trait in with the Morgana. Not super important, and I do plan on dropping the Rel later, but it's going to be, you know, it helps. It gives Morgana a little more mana generation. You could make the case that maybe these items should be on Morgana instead of on Cassiopeia, but Morg's a pretty bad unit in this set, so I think I'm okay with putting these items on Cassiopeia instead. But this cloak can build into some kind of frontliner item. I mean, it could be a bunch of things. It could be Gargoyle Stoneplate, it could be Ionic Spark, could be a Adaptive Helm would not be terrible either. It could even be Dragon's Cloak, although that item got nerfed a while back and hasn't been very good for a while now. So it can be a lot of different things. And then Ziggs will give me a Dominator. He'll probably get taken out later on in this team composition, but you know, he's the other early Dominator, and I can certainly play him for a little while. By the way, I get to 29 gold here, but I don't want to sell the Ziggs, so I'll stop here and sit at 29, which always feels bad, but I don't want to sell the Ziggs. I want him to be the next unit in, so I'm not going to move out of that one. All right, so by the way, there is someone who has the Vladimir carry augment, so that's a little annoying. That means they're going to be taking Vlads. It's this player here, Greed. At least I know their name. The Vlad carry augment is not very good. It's not a very good hero augment, honestly. It'll probably get buffed into overpowered status at some point in this set, but it's not very good right now. So that means they're going to take Vlads out of the pool, but they're going to be re-rolling for like Vlad 3-star if they have any understanding of how to play that. Whereas I really don't need Vlad 3-star. I'm perfectly fine with Vlad 2-star. I am going to play the more traditional version of Black Rose, which is you're going to be trying to get up to higher tiers of the trait and look to play a bunch of 4 and 5 cost units, which I think is generally the more consistent version of the trait overall too. This person is playing a Conqueror board with other pit fighters in there, and it looks like what they have is pretty clearly stronger than what I've got here. Although, then again, they didn't itemize the Urgot, so is there any chance Cassiopeia can win this? It's like, oh, actually she did win that. I really thought I was going to lose that round, but okay, we'll take it. I'll take that. And we'll look to go from there. I'll also pick up the Scar because I could play him with Vlad for Watcher trait. Again, I need to move into another frontline eventually because you don't want to play Sentinel frontline with Black Rose, but when to make that transition is going to be a little bit tricky. And if anything, I think I probably stayed with the Sentinel units a little bit too long, but that's what I had hit at the early game, so that's what I ended up playing. All right, a little bit about Black Rose. I've talked about this trait a little bit in other videos, but it's a very straightforward trait. It is Set 13's version of when you play these units on the board, you get an extra unit, the extra unit being Scion. As you play deeper into the trait, you get more, you get a stronger Scion, basically. By the way, I also get some good items here. I get a bow and a belt, which builds into Nasher's Tooth, which is the other item considered to be best in slot on Soko. Then I get another bow and a tier, and I was like, okay, yes, I will go ahead and make Static Shiv. I am very content to go ahead and make Static Shiv on here because I do not have a magic resistance shred, and my team deals all magic damage. So this is also a nice complement. It's a good item to put on like a secondary carry, so I'll put it on the Morgana for right now. And I'm very happy to make use of these items. I was pretty happy with that. Going back to the Black Rose, though, so as I said, it's the as you play more of these units, you get a Scion on the board. You have to get 3 of them to get Scion in. And then after that, every single additional rank in the trait makes Scion stronger. He's kind of like a 1-star unit at Black Rose 3, and then he goes to like 2-star at 4, 3-star at 5, and then if you can actually get up to Black Rose 7, which requires getting double emblems, then he's like a 4-star unit, and it gets pretty ridiculous. But for right now, he just provides a little bit of additional frontline. I will also sell the Scar to get back to 40 gold, so I leveled to 6 there, was able to keep win streak going, and I'm back to 40 gold, so it didn't even really cost me that much. All right, next augment is a gold one. I'm not really seeing anything I like that much here. I don't really want the support item. I was like, all right, I think I'll just take the glass cannon. Units that start combat in the back row begin combat at 90% health, but gain 20% damage amp. That seems pretty good. A lot of my back row spellcasters are going to be Dominators anyway, which means that they start the fight with a shield. It's one of the things Dominator does. Dominator units get a shield at the start of the fight, and then they also gain additional ability power every time they cast their ability. And then the deeper you play into the trait, the bigger the shield and the bigger the AP gain when they cast their ability. So, but like for a Dominator who starts in the back row, like they're not going to take damage at the beginning of the fight anyway, and they start the fight with a shield. So even if they do take damage at the start of the fight, it's generally going to hit that shield anyway. So I don't feel like it's that much of a penalty to take Glass Cannon here, and the extra damage amp is going to be nice. Like, okay, Morgana is not a Dominator, but like look at Cassiopeia. She just starts the fight with a shield anyway, and she gets 20% damage amp as a result. I think that's pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with this gold augment. Now, I would have preferred to get +1 Black Rose or +1 Dominator, and that would have been better, I think, because in both cases, that would allow me to play better units at the end of the game by getting +1 of those traits. But I'm pretty happy with Glass Cannon. Oh, and by the way, that last round, I just hit the person who had the Vlad hero augments, Greed, and excuse me, they were, I think they were level 6 gold, so they rolled themselves all the way down to 0 gold, and like they're nowhere close to Vlad 3-star. Again, these are the kind of things you see in, when you're doing a ranked placement game, and you're up against people with less experience that are going to do, excuse me, going to do some silly things like that. So obviously you need to manage your econ a little bit better than that. If you're going to re-roll for Vlad 3-star, you want to slow roll on level 6 and try to stay over 50 gold. Don't roll yourself down to 0 gold. That's not really going to work out. Now, here's the Enforcers player that I played in the mid. I think it was stage 2-3, and now I'm hitting them again on 3-3. I remember them because they have the Enforcer board, and they took that Thorned vest. They took that augment that gave them the extra Thorn vest. Now, for their second augment, they've taken the Artifact emblem, and they got a Late Shield. I can't remember what it's called. Late Shield emblem, Late Shield crest, something like that. It's a very good item on Loris. It basically means that he gets these additional shields and puts those shields on other team members. So it's like a very good item. And they already have 2-star Loris, so they've been able to continue win streaking here. And unfortunately, both of my losses have been to that same team, so it's a little bit frustrating. They've also interrupted my win streak both times. So like I won 2 rounds, then I hit them. Then I won 4 rounds, then I hit them again, and both times they've interrupted my win streak. So that's a little bit frustrating to say the least. But at some point in time, I will have to do something about that board, but I obviously can't compete with them just yet. All right, I was last pick on the carousel. There wasn't a ton of stuff that I wanted that badly, so I decided I would go ahead and grab this vest. Unfortunately, it was on a 1 gold powder, but the other options weren't really much better in terms of gold, and I'll just use this to make a Gargoyle Stone Plate. This has been one of the top frontline items for like a long time in TFT, so I'll just take this. I guess I'll put it on Singe for right now because he's my only 2-star frontliner. I've got a number of pairs there. I've got the Vlad pair, Rel pair, and I just picked up the Ziggs pair. But he's the only one who's actually 2-starred, so I'll go ahead and put him in. I went ahead and leveled to level 7, even though I had lost my win streak. So you could say there wasn't really much of a need to level to 7 there, but like I want to get to 7. I want to improve my shop odds. It only drops me down to 42 gold, so it's only costing me 1 gold worth of income. I think that's definitely worth it just to get a level 7 shop as opposed to a level 6 shop. And it also lets me play another unit, so I might be able to win some more of these rounds. This one's pretty close. We're able to kill the Smeech over there. Now this person is playing a Chem Baron team. They have already found a Silco. And they actually have War for the Undercity, which is like the premier augment if you're going to be lost streaking with Chem Barons. But they don't really have very many stacks. They only have 165 stacks, and they actually just won that round. So even if they were on a loss streak previously, that loss streak is over now. So they're definitely not playing Chem Baron for like the giant loss streak into a cash out. The only bad news is they're obviously going to be competing with me for Silco. So I do have some competition on some of these units. I think the Black Rose units are uncontested, but I think some of the Dominator units are being contested by some of the other players. And then look at this person. They already have a 2-star Garen. I was like, oh, that's not good. They have 2-star Garen already? Garen's intended to be like my main frontliner in this team composition, so that's not great if 3 Garens are already out of the pool. Definitely not a good sign there. Now, a better sign is this person playing a Rebel board. For some reason, they're playing a Rebel board, and they have the Super Edge of Night, but they're like re-rolling for a Kali 3-star and Rel 3-star. Definitely wouldn't recommend that. Those units just are not very good in the current patch version of TFT. So even if they do hit like a 3-star Rel and a 3-star what's her name, Akali, like what is that going to do? Rebels is a team that wants to get to Fast 8 and Fast 9 as fast as possible so that they can look to play Jinx and Alawi and what's her name, Zoe. Those are like the good units in that team composition. So you really don't want to be really do not want to be re-rolling for 1 and 2 cost Rebels because those units are just not very good. I also did have multiple scars in my shop. You might remember I sold a scar earlier in the game. At this point, I kind of wish that I had held that scar. And then I could have had scar 2-star here, and that would have been a much better unit to hold the Gargoyle Stoneplate. That said, scar without Firelight trait is a lot weaker. Excuse me. And I'm planning on moving out of this unit eventually anyway. So I'm just going to end up holding for Garen and hope that I can replace that Vander with a Garen. Anyway, I do want to get to level 8 and then do a roll down on level 8. And I think the best time to do that is after the upcoming minion round. Or excuse me, after the upcoming augment round. All right, here I'm going to go ahead and take a Sunfire Kate. Again, I'm trying to play into Garen later on down the road. So something that gives additional health, like a Sunfire Cape, is really nice due to the way that Garen's emissary bonus works. I would prefer to have like a Warmogs, but Sunfire's not bad. I also did not have a heal cut on my team. So even though Sunfire's not the best heal cut, it still will do for at least reducing the healing of frontliners. And like that does make a difference against Urgot here. So like Urgot has a lot of lifesteal between his Death Stance and his Hand of Justice. And so the Sunfire is going to reduce, like, what is it, a third of the healing he gets from that? So that's definitely going to help. Now, do I have enough to beat this board? I didn't think so, honestly, but 1-star Cassiopeia is doing some good work back there. And the minute that she kills the Urgot, there's not really a lot left behind it. So, okay, we actually end up beating that board as well. Probably shouldn't have beaten that one, but I'll take it because I've just been in econ mode. And now we're going to get to level 8, and I'll look to grab my augment and then roll down here on level 8. All right, it's not the Sentinel Crest. We know we're going to move out of that. Again, I'm hoping I can get +1 Black Rose or +1 Dominator. That's not available, so I'm going to take the one that gives me extra critical strike chance. All right, so we hit 2-star Vander. Okay, I don't really want 2-star Vander. He's going to come out of that board. But there's a Blitzcrank, so I can play that. And then there's an early Jace. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can play that Jace. That seems pretty good, but can I find like a Silco or something like that? No. All right, there's Garen, so that's good. I do hit 2-star Vlad, which will help a little bit, and then I want to get the Silco on the board, so I'll move into that unit. I'll put the Jace on the board temporarily. I think I put no, never mind. I put the Nunu on the board so I can get Bruiser trait. Oh, I actually don't have Bruiser trait in play. I need to find Elise. And then let's move these carry items over to the Silco, and then we're going to move our tank items over to Garen. But I didn't get the Garen on the board fast enough. And I've now moved out of my Sentinel frontline, and I've moved over into a Dominator frontline plus Watcher trait. 4 Dominator and 2 Watcher right now. I didn't quite get the whole transition done, but for someone who is like not a professional TFT player, I was reasonably pleased at how that came together. This person is, this is the person who has the Vlad carry augment. So do I have enough to beat them? Not quite, but again, they're level 7, 10 gold. So they're not really going to get that much stronger. And I almost beat them that round anyway. They're not even close to their Vlad 3-star either. They're only on 5 Vlads, and they're only on level 7 for some reason. So I don't quite understand that. Oh, the other reason why I kept Vander on the board is there was actually a pass achievement. Oh, and I do find the Elise, so that's really nice. Now I need to take something off the board, and the only thing I can really take off the board is Nunu. So I think I'm going to remove the Nunu here, so I can get Elise. There we go. And I'm content to have that unit on place. But anyway, there was actually a TFT pass experience reward, which was to place Silco and Vander on the same board for at least 1 round. So I went ahead and did that. And I had the 2-star Vander. 2-star Vander is probably roughly comparable with 1-star Garen, so it wasn't a disaster to play that unit anyway. And now I kind of have my core board here for the moment: 4 Black Rose, 4 Dominator, 2 Watcher, 1 Emissary. And then I have this Jace on my bench. I was like, I think I'm going to hold this Jace. I actually really like to play Jace on level 9. Jace would put Form Swapper trait in for with Elise, and he's a 5-cost unit. If I could play Jace on this board, he can turn into another carry as well. I don't really need that much more frontline because I have the Scion helping to provide more frontline. What I need to do is I need to 2-star my board, get all these units upgraded. By the way, that spatula would be great. I could make a Black Rose emblem. I believe it's spatula plus something is Black Rose emblem, but of course it gets snapped up immediately. So much for that. So much for that. That's not an option. But yeah, like if I could get like a Jace 2-star and then deploy him, for another carry option in the back row, that would actually be really, really nice. All right, so right now I'm looking to finish itemizing Garen, and I've got this leftover vest. I'm just going to combine that together with the glove, and go ahead and make a steadfast heart, which is a little bit awkward on Watcher units. It's not quite as good because Watchers already get durability from Watcher trait. Like, more health would actually be better here, but I got to go with what I've got here. All right, I'll also pick up Mundo. He's probably better than one of these units. I should probably play him over the Ziggs because Ziggs isn't really doing anything. Yeah, I'll put him on the board for right now. And because I have Silco pair and Garen pair, I'm really rolling to try to 2-star one of them. So I roll down to 0. I don't hit them. I do hit the LeBlanc, though, and that's actually really, really nice as well. LeBlanc is the last remaining Black Rose unit. There's a Black Rose unit at every cost tier: a 1 cost, a 2 cost, a 3 cost, a 4 cost, and a 5 cost. I'm currently playing all of them except the LeBlanc, but the obvious substitution here is to take out the Morgana, who is a 1-cost Black Rose, or 1-cost Black Rose, and replace with LeBlanc, who is the 5-cost Black Rose. That's pretty clearly going to be better, so I will just look to make that substitution, and it will even give me Sorcerer's trait. By the way, remember that Enforcer's board that I still haven't been able to beat? Yeah, I hit them again and lost again. They have not lost around the entire game. They are 100 HP and still win streaking, and they even found a Caitlyn, so I was like, ugh, that's not good. All right, now I'm rolling, and unfortunately I didn't leave myself with much gold to roll with. I really shouldn't have rolled down to 0. But I do get this one, Bulwark, gain 40 armor and MR, triplet when above 50% health. And I was like, you know what, that's pretty good for Garen. I'm just going to go ahead and take this. And then I hit the 2-star Garen, and that really was a nice break of RNG luck, because what I most needed was to get Garen upgraded. Garen and Silco, those are the 2 units I needed to get. I needed to get them upgraded. Garen is my main tank, and Silco is my main damage dealer. So hitting the Garen 2-star is actually a pretty big deal. So just increases his health overall. He has extremely high durability when he's over half health. I think he has 40% durability when he's over half health. So he takes almost like half damage. But then when he gets cut under half health, that does go down. He also has like a ton of armor and magic resistance too from that anomaly. And like that's one of the things he was most missing. He had a little bit of health from the Sunfire Cape, but he didn't really have a lot of armor and magic resistance, and he was able to get that from the anomaly, so that's definitely going to help a lot. So Garen should be quite tanky, and then we also have the Scion to provide a little additional front line, plus the Mundo, plus the Blitzcrank. Got the 4 Dominator to provide some shields on some of them. And like Elise will eventually provide more frontline. She doesn't really provide it yet. For right now, she's just in there to stun people. I'm hoping she can get her stun off. But like this is what happens when Elise is like a 1-star unit. She just dies before she gets her stun off. So she's kind of useless right now. But she does give me a rank of Black Rose trait. So I definitely want to play her. Now this person is the War for the Undercity player. And they actually have Silco 2-star. But like you can see, I can still beat them anyway because my frontline is way, way better. And that's the biggest flaw in their comp. They really don't have much in the way of frontline over there. And so that takes us to the minion stage here at the end of stage 4. I'm really content with how my board's coming together. It doesn't feel like a win the lobby board right now because some of these other teams have definitely hit a little bit harder than me. But I think it can get there. The biggest thing I need right now is Silco 2-star. If I can hit Silco 2, I wanted to keep rolling because there were still a lot of Silcos in the pool. That one other player has a 2-star Silco, but that still does mean that there's another 5 Silcos out there. And if I can hit Silco 2-star, I get so much stronger. So I decided I'm going to roll until I hit Silco 2-star and then go from there. Now I was hoping to pull LeBlanc items right here, but unfortunately that kind of doesn't happen. Well, there's an Elise. Okay. I'll buy some of these units, and I don't need more blue terrains. Boom, there we go. Okay, so I managed to hit the 2-star Silco, and that was fairly painless. It did cost me a decent amount of econ, but I needed to hit that unit. But look at this. I really do not get items I can put on LeBlanc, like, at all. I was like, ugh. This is, this is pretty rough here. I can do Giant Slayer, and I mean, okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll do Giant Slayer, and then I was like, all right, I guess I'll just make Infinity Edge, I guess? I don't know what else I was going to do with those items that I could pull. I had all these swords. I could do like Deathblade, but I think that's even worse. At least this does allow like Cassiopeia's ability to crit. I mean, it's not the item I want, but it does at least allow her ability to crit. So anyway, my plan is now I need to get to level 9. On level 9, I can play an additional unit. I can figure out what that's going to be. And I think it's going to be Jace, because I can take the Infinity Edge and the Giant Slayer and put them on Jace. Because like Jace, of course, can actually use AD items. And I think that that's how I put my board together there. And then I get lucky and I hit the 2-star Elise. So I'm definitely getting some good luck here. I hit the 2-star Garen, I hit the 2-star Elise, I hit the 2-star Silco. And I also had the early LeBlanc. So that's actually, there's definitely some good luck. I mean, I was able to get to level 8 pretty early on. I certainly rolled enough gold. I probably rolled about 80 total gold between my roll down on 4-2 and then my roll down at the beginning of stage 5. I probably rolled about 80 gold or so, but I mean, I hit the units I needed to hit, and so that's now going to allow me to look to go to level 9. If I had continued to whiff these units, I would have had to go into just try to top 4 this game, just try to get like a 4th or 5th place or something like that. But because I did hit those units, now I can look to be a little bit greedier, and now I can look to go to level 9 and think about maybe trying to win this lobby. All right, this time I'm up against this person who has Urgot 3-star, and it's like, I mean, their board looks like it shouldn't be that bad. The last video I put on YouTube was an Urgot focused video, and you saw I had a 3-star Urgot that just like annihilated people, but I don't think they built the rest of the board around the Urgot quite well enough. And by the way, there's a Mordekaiser, so I'll hold on to that. Now, if I could somehow get +1 Dominator, and I guess I'll play the Mordekaiser over the Mundo for right now. But if I could somehow get +1 Dominator, I would be happy to ditch the Jace and then play 6 Dominator on level 9. That would be awesome. Or if I could somehow get an additional Black Rose emblem, that would be really nice as well. Because the Scion that you get from Black Rose 5 is a lot stronger than the Scion from Black Rose 4. Like, it's noticeably stronger if you can make that upgrade. Oh, and I do need to mention, you see that person Panda B? They still haven't lost a round yet. That's that Enforcers player that we've seen a couple of different times. I think I've hit them 3 times and they've beaten me all 3 times. They still have not lost a round yet. So like, they should clearly be level 9 by now. Probably getting ready to go level 10 at the beginning of stage 6, because they should be unbelievably wealthy from winning all those rounds. But as we'll see, they actually ended up not going in that direction. Anyway, I was up against someone playing an Academy board, and it looks like I'm stronger than them for the time being, as the field is actually getting winnowed down pretty quickly here. There's only 5 of us left in this lobby, and 2 people are on 4 HP. Now, this is a really, really crucial carousel, because there's something that's insanely good for me on this carousel. There is a LeBlanc with a Black Rose emblem, so this is like probably the single best thing I could possibly see. It gets me another copy of LeBlanc, so now I'm on 2 out of 3. And it gets me a Black Rose emblem, so now I can go up to 5 Black Rose and get a much stronger Scion. If I could somehow get another Black Rose emblem, I could even look to go up to Black Rose 7, but I don't really expect to get another Black Rose emblem. If I had gotten +1 from my trait earlier, though, I probably should have held on to Morgana just in case for that same reason, but I didn't think I would even get 1 Black Rose emblem, let alone 2. But yeah, look at this. Now Scion is now Scion's going to be a lot stronger. He even heals to full health whenever he gets broken out of those chains. And look at that. That person who was on the long win streak finally did lose a round. And they just hit 3-star Loris. As soon as I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, 3-star Loris? What? It's kind of weird. Why would they have 3-star Loris? That's kind of wacky. Anyway, so I'm up against the Urgot player. They have the anomaly whereby one of the units dies and sacrifices themselves to give stats to other units. So they rolled and got a 3-star Set, and they have Set dying to give additional stats to the Urgot. That was actually incredibly strong in an earlier patch, but it kind of got nerfed, and we have just enough damage to defeat the Urgot. That's actually going to knock that player out of the lobby. So just like that, we're down to just 3 players here in the lobby. So I'll actually have a chance to talk a little bit about some of these other boards because there's an Academy player left. This person has 6 Academy, and I look at that, I was like, wow, 6 Academy. And they have a 2-star Jace as well. I was like, oh my god, 6 Academy with 2-star Jace. I don't think that my board should be able to beat that, although I actually did beat them the last round I went up against them. Academy items are, what is it? An Evenshroud, a Guard Breaker, and a Jeweled Gauntlet. So they should just have like Guard Breakers everywhere on that board because that is such a flexible item. You can put it on pretty much any carry, but I don't think that they went in that direction. All right, and now here is the other player, the Enforcers player. But like, look at this board. They just hit 3-star Loris, but I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? They're level 8, 10 gold. It's like, wait, what? How are they level 8, 10 gold? This person didn't even lose a round. They won like 17 rounds in a row to start the game. How can they only be level 8 and not level 9? That doesn't even make sense. Well, they do have the Cape 2-star, so they're still going to beat me, and I still have not beat this player yet. But that was the first sign to me that this person maybe had made some mistakes in terms of building their team comp. So we're going to talk more about that as this game goes along. As far as my build is concerned, again, goal is I've got to get to level 9. On level 9, I can look to put in Jace, and then I can transfer some of these items around. And then on level 9, I also have a chance to 2-star some of these units. If I can 2-star the LeBlanc, if I can 2-star Jace, if I can 2-star Mordekaiser, I think my board would be really strong. Although if I do hit 2-star Mundo, I would probably play Mundo over Mordekaiser. I don't think I have a great setup for Mordekaiser here. I don't really have items that favor Mordekaiser, and I certainly do not have the Conqueror trait in, which is his other trait. So Mordekaiser, if I could hit 2-star Mord, that would be great, but I'm not confident I'm going to be able to hit that. All right, we're going to go level 9. I don't have a ton of gold to roll with here on 9, but I did want to get there so I could start seeing the level 9 shops, and I really wanted to get Jace on the board. Again, remember, I have these items that are very poorly suited to Cassiopeia. Okay, now this is much better. There's a Spear of Shojin there, so we're going to pop these items off Cassiopeia, who's done a great job of holding items. We're going to put the Spear of Shojin and the Static Shiv on LeBlanc, and then we're going to move the Giant Slayer and the Infinity Edge over to Jace. And I've got that crystal over by my 3 key backline units. And yeah, I think this is my board. I think I'm pretty confident in terms of how this board played out. Okay, so here's the 6 Academy player. Now, they've just made a lot of mistakes in terms of how they've done this. They just don't have hardly anything in terms of sponsored items. In fact, the only sponsored items they've made is they've made double Jeweled Gauntlets who have gone on Lux. They have double sponsored items on a 1-star Lux. Like, what in the world is going on here? They have a 2-star Jace in a 6 Academy board, and the Jace was unitemized. I was like, what? If they put 1 Guard Breaker on the Jace, he would get, I think the math works out that like the 1 Guard Breaker on Jace would give him like 23% extra health and 23% damage amp on a 2-star Jace. Like, that would be insane. But they didn't put their Academy items on their key units. So that board is nowhere near as strong as it should have been, and it just fell apart pretty quickly there. So that's just not playing to the strengths of a 6 Academy comp. So now they're down on 9 HP, and they don't have a whole lot of health left. I rolled ahead there again there on my level 9 board, and I didn't find anything again. So that's been about, what is it? I rolled about 20 gold now here on level 9, and I have not found, excuse me, I have not found much of anything thus far. So we're going to have to hope that that improves. Anyway, I'm up against the Enforcer board yet again. Can I finally beat this board? This is like the 5th or 6th time I've hit this board. I still have not beaten it yet. It is a ghost round, though, so maybe in the ghost round, but no. Once again, I still lose to this board, and they are going to knock out the other player. So I was like, okay, in a worst-case scenario, I'll at least be 2nd place to this board. But at some point, I do actually need to beat this board if I want to try to win this lobby. And can I keep rolling? And once again, I continue to strike out. I've rolled through 4 more shops, none of the units I want, and it looks like they found another Vi. So I was like, all right, well, you know, I still don't beat this board right now, but maybe if I can get Elise to get a stun on that Caitlyn, because the Kate is what's killing me in this fight. Maybe if I can get a stun on that Caitlyn, I can try to make this work. And I decided, you know what, I don't think Mordekaiser fits this board. I think I'm just going to play Mundo, because I don't really need more damage from Mordekaiser. He's just not surviving long enough to get his damage off. I'll just put Mundo in for a little bit of extra frontline, and I think that that's a little bit better. So, like, I think the key unit to watch in this fight is actually the Elise. Like, can she survive long enough to get her stun off? Well, she actually does in this fight, but she ended up stunning the front line, which doesn't really do a whole lot. Still, this fight's getting relatively close. Now, if we could just somehow get through that Loris, but it looks like, no, not quite enough. Not quite enough. So they are, in fact, going to win this round and drop me down to 20 HP. And the Caitlyn did, I think, 16,000 damage. So I was like, oof. Okay. But there is something really interesting on this carousel. There's actually a Bruiser emblem. And as soon as I see that, I was like, oh, Bruiser emblem. Okay. I will put Bruiser trait in play. That's going to give my entire team more health. And it's going to give, in particular, a lot of health to Elise, because Bruisers gain more from hitting these. There's also another Jace there. So, okay. And now, look at this. I have LeBlanc pair, I have Jace pair, and I have Mundo pair. I'll put this on the Blitzcrank for the time being. I was like, geez, I'm so close to hitting these units. I want to just roll for one of these. And, okay, well, I don't have enough gold to buy the LeBlanc, but at least I did finally find it. So I'm hoping that that Bruiser emblem made a difference. And if Elise can actually get her stun off on the back line instead of stunning the front line, I think that that could actually make a really big difference in this fight too. So let's look at what we've got here. There's actually a number of mistakes in terms of how they built this board. The biggest problem is they're level 8. There's no reason why this board should be level 8. They should easily be level 9. I mean, they win streaked, like I said, for like the first 17 rounds of the game. It's inexcusable not being level 9 on a board like that. And look at this, Elise actually got her stun on Kate this time and was able to interrupt. And then Sion got a charge off and was like, oh, wait a minute. We were able to interrupt the Kate. She did not manage to get her ult off, and boom, now we've got 2-star LeBlanc. So that's the biggest problem, is they didn't manage their econ particularly well. Now, the next problem that they did is their augments are actually not that great for this situation. Now, they started the game with the Super Bramble Vest, which was really good in the early game, but the value of the Super Bramble Vest is pretty low here in the late game. The other problem is my team's all magic damage, so that Bramble Vest does not do anything for them, right now. Then their second augment was Portable Forge, so they took an artifact item and they got that Light Shield, whatever it's called thing. Now, again, that's a good item on Loris. It's a good item on Loris 3-star, but the value of one artifact item is very low by the time we reach this stage in the game, unless it's like a super key carry item. I don't know, like rapid fire cannon Nocturne or something, which is like a broken interaction. It's just by this stage of the game, one item does not really do that much. So it's a relatively weak augment for this stage in the game. Again, good earlier in the game, not so great right now. Whereas my augments have much more value. Like the tower dummy is not doing much of anything. That was just an econ augment, but like the glass cannon has a lot of value, and the Lotus augment that gives everybody critical strike chance. Those are really valuable ones. They cause my team to punch well above their weight in terms of damage. And then that final augment was another really questionable choice from this player. They took Reinforcement. What that does is the next 4 cost you buy in the shop instantly becomes a 2-star version. There was no reason for them to do that. They had so much money. The only 4 cost that board plays is Vi, and like there's no reason why they should have had any difficulty hitting a 2-star Vi. Like, no one was playing Vi. They were the only one playing Enforcers in this lobby, and they had so much money they could easily hit a 2-star Vi regardless. Like, what was the point of taking an augment that just gave them a 2-star Vi? Like, that's just such a waste. They could have easily hit that unit anyway. All right, by the way, it's time for another augment here, and I kind of wish that I had taken either another item for LeBlanc, like the Morellos for her. She's a decent applier of Morellos, or just an item for Jace to do a little bit more damage. I ended up taking the Redemption. I was just trying to get Elise more survivability so that Elise would just live a little bit longer in these fights, but I don't think that this was a great item to pull here, though I do think Elise gets her stun off in this fight too. Now Kate's way over there on the other side. Yeah, Elise still got off a pretty good stun. Kate's over there by herself, but I actually didn't want to reposition my team. I was pretty happy with how they were set up in this fight. So I don't know. I mean, the Redemption wasn't a terrible item, but I think maybe another item on LeBlanc would have been better, like the Morellos or something. So anyway, yeah, that Reinforcement just didn't really do much of anything for them. I mean, I guess it got them to 7 Vi's, but like they've been rolling for Vi on level 8 0 gold. Like if they wanted 3-star Vi, they should have gone to level 9 and then slow rolled there, or gone to level 10. On level 10, you have 40% odds to see the 4 cost. Like, this team had so much money to spend, and they really bungled it. They're also running 7 Enforcer. Like, why are they running 7 Enforcer? They didn't get an emblem. They should cut the Steb, and they should cut the Camille. And, like, imagine if instead of playing those units, they had, like, a 2-star Ambessa to put Quick Striker and Emissary in, and, like, a 2-star Savika. Like, that board is so much stronger if they just remove the crummy Enforcers and play better Enforcers instead. But yeah, they didn't do that, and their board just kind of got outscaled because they didn't manage their econ well, and their augment choices were a little suboptimal, and their only real chance of winning the lobby was hitting 3-star Vi, and they didn't manage the econ for that either. So I'm actually going to take the first place finish here, and I was really happy with how this game played out. Now, again, caveat, first ranked placement game, you can see I get like 300 LP because competition is not that great. But I did want to use this game as a teaching tool to talk about like how some of these players just did not play the end game particularly well, and maybe this will be a useful learning tool for some people who are watching this video. End games, I think, are hard to figure out, so maybe it'll be helpful in that regard. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, take care, folks. I'll see you again soon.